everything to add.
That's right.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to our regularly scheduled city council meeting. It's Tuesday, October 17th, 2023. I would like to call this meeting to order. We're going to begin our meeting by standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we are going to stay standing for words of inspiration, which Pastor Bob Morrissey from the church at Clawson will be giving. United States of America. And to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pastor Morrissey.
Thank you for having me. I count it a privilege to be here with you all tonight. So let's pray. Father, I thank you for our city, and I thank you for the much good that has happened in it through the many decades that we've been privileged to be here. And people have gone before us who have done a lot of work to make it a good place to live, good place to work, and a good place to worship. And I just pray that we would stay on that path. So I pray that you would give wisdom to each person who serves in leadership, as well as people that serve in this city, live in this city. And we all play a role. We all play a part to make it a great place to live. And so I just pray that you would bless this city and you'd bless the people that serve. I pray that you bless their families and the extra pressure that gets put on family members when people give of their time to make a difference. And so I pray especially for our city employees and our council people and those who have volunteered to do things around here. I just pray that you would bless their families too. And so I pray that you bless this meeting tonight. I pray that you'd calm our hearts and minds, and may peace prevail, and may the right things happen that would make this a prosperous place to be. We thank you for your goodness to us. In Jesus' name, amen. And Mayor Pro Tem Bruce Anderson, Jeff Tunnigus, who is Troop 1615 Scoutmaster that meets at our troop building. He knew I was coming down here tonight because we have a whole lot of Boy Scouts at the church right now giving out awards. And he said he used to go to high school with you. And he said to say hello. So I said, I probably can get away with that. So if I'm not invited back, then I guess I didn't get away with it. But hey, thanks City Council. Have a great night.
Are you not going to send him a message hello back?
Hello, Jeff.
Okay.
I wish you well, my friend.
Tell Jeff we got his back.
He's getting a special award tonight.
Oh. Nice. Well, thank you for coming this evening. We appreciate you. Okay, we will move on to a roll call, please.
Mayor Milan,
I am here.
Mayor Pro Tem Anderson, here. Councilmember Sampson, here. Councilmember Shepherd, here. Councilmember Tinlin, here. As a quorum, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Next item would be approval of our agenda.
Madam Mayor, may I make a motion to add into new business the Goodfellows paper drive, and that'll be our 9A.
Support.
Thank you. Roll call?
Mayor Pro Tem Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor Milan,
Yes,
Councilmember Sampson.
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin.
Yes.
thank you. We'll move that paper drive to item 9A.
Approve as
Yeah.
amended. Approve the agenda as amended
The
now.
agenda is amended. Yes, of course. Next up will
You need
be.
a motion.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
sorry. Thought that was the motion. Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the agenda as amended.
Or
Thank you.
Mayor Milan,
Yes,
Councilmember Sampson.
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Anderson.
Yes.
We have an agenda.
amended.
Yes.
Thank you. Next up will be public comment for items on the agenda. If you're here this evening and you'd like to speak to any item that is on our agenda, you may come to the podium. We ask you to speak your name and your address, and we'll give you 3 minutes.
Hello, I am Mary Liz Curtin. I'm from Leonalulu and Three Cats here in Clawson, and I would like to have just a brief discussion about appointments to the DDA, or really to any board. The DDA is a board that requires participation, interest, and really a fully engaged group. And I would like to suggest that before we appoint someone to the board, that the appointee has been a member of a committee, has attended a meeting at any time, has perhaps spoken to the chair or to the DDA director, so they're aware of what the committee does, so that by the time they do join our board, they have an idea of what they're in for, that there's a commitment of time, there's a commitment of interest, and not just kind of heave people on boards who are not fully aware of what their commitment will be or what their responsibilities will be. That's all. Any questions or anything I can elaborate on? Thank you very much.
Anyone else have public comment? Although your item's not on. the
That's what I
agenda,
thought.
Sorry, but
Okay.
does if you don't mind, we'll get you later. Okay, nothing else for public comment right now for items on the agenda? Okay, then we'll move on to proclamations and presentations, and as we have none, we'll move on from there to consideration of approving the following consent agenda. Item A, minutes of the regular city council meeting held on Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023, as presented. Item B, minutes of the special city council meeting held on Monday, October 9th, 2023, as presented. Item C, minutes of the joint workshop city council meeting held on Tuesday, October 10th, 2023, as presented. Item D, minutes of the joint workshop city council meeting held on Tuesday, October 11th, 2023, as presented, and a list of bills in the amount of $870,230.46.
So moved. Support.
Thank you.
Councilmember Sampson?
Yes.
Sampson, yes. Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've approved our consent agenda and we'll move on to item number 9, which is new business. And we're going to begin our new business with the presentation from the Clawson Fire Department regarding the upcoming Goodfellows paper drive. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you very kindly for bumping me in. I appreciate it. So yeah, my name is Mike Farrar. I'm from the Clawson Fire Department and I'm the vice president of the Clawson Goodfellows. And we were hoping for approval to conduct our annual paper sale on December 2nd. That is the first Saturday of the month. That's where we stand in all the intersections and sell our newspapers to oncoming cars. And we were just looking for approval to continue the tradition again this year.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, yes, sir.
I'll make a motion, we approve this Goodfellows drive.
Okay, good idea.
Support.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions? No, then thank you very much.
Thank you very kindly. And if I could leave, we do have forms for selling ads that I put one on the bulletin board, but I don't know if there's anywhere else that I could put one, but I'll leave one on the table if anyone wants to pick one up.
All
So
right,
thank you very kindly. I appreciate your time.
Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
yes.
Councilmember Sampson?
Yes.
Great.
Set.
Thank you. We will have the paper drive on December 2nd, and hopefully you'll have great weather. Right, exactly. The next item would be consideration of appointment of Joe Goodfellows to the Downtown Development Authority, term to expire October 31st, 2027.
Madam Mayor, I propose that we appoint Mr. Joe Gradell to the Downtown Development Authority, term to expire October 31st, 2027.
Joe Goodfellows.
Pardon?
Goodfellows,
What did I say?
Cordell or something. I don't know. It sounded nice,
My
but
apologies.
different name.
No.
And I'll support, but there will be discussion, correct?
yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so discussion. Mr. Sampson, Councilmember Sampson, do you have any discussion?
Let's hear what he's got to say. He's got a smile.
Yeah, I've got that grin, right? All right, so I'll start. And then when you see a really long list like this, I've thought a lot about this appointment, both appointments, right? So first, I'd like to thank those 2 applicants that were nominated by the mayor for wanting to serve on the DDA, and then the DDA board and its members for all the great things they brought to our community now and in the future. And I'd like to personally thank them for that. And since that last DDA appointment last month, I promised myself that I was going to understand the DDA much better, the scope, the mission statement, the state laws that regulate that, and really have a discussion on the people. Sometimes I'm finding people have a lot of different viewpoints of what the DDA should be. There's definitely some irritation with city groups and sometimes even the city elected body. And I'm hoping that can go away someday. I mean, we're all here to serve the community. And I really took an extra effort. If I can, any appointment, I spend time. So I did talk to both of the applicants. I had a lot of things that I had as a criteria. You know, the person interview was definitely important to me. The views and ideas and how their resource to serve, and then willing to serve and contribute. But I did listen to the people that talked to me, and I talked to a lot of people. And multipliers for me were involved in the past DD events, committees, fundraiser recommendations from former and standing DDA members. Because you know, the laws are real clear in our city. That's ordinance 177, and then 2.2 is the DDA. That does hold the nominations to the mayor. So I'm looking at these applicants, but I'm hoping for my other elected officials to have a dialogue on these applicants and the pros and cons. So that's my first piece.
We'll go on the second one then.
No, well, you have a part two for your commentary.
No, just I'm applying it. I know we got a vote on Joe and then Martin, but just we'll start with Joe. Because I've taken the energy and I'm not judging. I mean, I took it upon myself to have a really deep understanding of this applicant, understanding the nomination process. So I'm looking for input in public forum from the other elected body.
I'll give you my version since I'm the person who nominated them both. I appreciate the DDA. I've sat on the DDA for the past almost 2 years, and I've watched a lot. I've offered to volunteer and not been engaged. And I've talked to a lot of people in the community who have businesses here, and people feel disconnected. And I'm trying to create a community where people feel connected. The charter states that we can have 9 to 12 people on our DDA. These appointments would be adding to the DDA. It is not replacing anyone. The people who are serving currently serve well. We're proud of what people do now, what I'm looking to do. And I believe I had this conversation with anyone who cared to have a conversation with me regarding this topic, that my goal is to create a board that is more inclusive of the community that it serves. People within the DDA pay into the DDA. Everyone does not feel like they're part of it. And I've had conversations with both of these gentlemen since I've been mayor, and if not before, about they're not feeling represented. And I feel like we could do a great service to our DDA if we became more inclusive and had greater conversations. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to create a situation where we can have greater conversations. And it is the mayor's authority to appoint, and it has always been, as far as I'm concerned, going back to the original charter. I don't know how appointments have been handled in the past. I would always give credence to someone's idea. There's someone that I would really like to appoint right now, but I have had conversations with these individuals prior to that coming to the forefront. And I want to be good for my word when I talk to people as well. So that's where my thought is on this process. And both gentlemen have thriving businesses in our downtown. Both gentlemen are unique individuals who are very proud to be in Clawson and serve unique segments of our population. And that should be considered as well. And I will also say, they've not said anything, they're not anti anything or anyone. They just want to be part of and see if they can create greater dialogue and create a different sense of what the DDA is and how it represents the DDA and this community, works with this community. Any questions for me on my background, my reasoning?
Can I ask a question?
If you guys concede to allowing conversation during this process? Yes, sure, you may ask a question.
I'm just curious why.
A point of order. Oh, sorry.
You make a motion to suspend the rules.
Yeah, sorry.
Madam Mayor, I move that we suspend the rules.
Support. Oh, all right, go ahead.
I'm just curious why anybody who wanted to be a part of the DDA never attended a meeting.
We just have to vote real quick and then yeah.
I'm sorry.
Mayor Pro Tem Anderson.
Yes.
Mayor Milan.
Yes,
Councilmember Sampson.
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin.
Yes.
Consider them suspended.
Now you can talk.
now you may talk.
Okay. I'm just curious why anybody who wanted to be a part or wished to be represented or join us has never applied for a committee, come to a meeting, or spoken to us.
maybe it's the disconnect, or maybe they watch online, or maybe they have other sources, right? You nominated someone whom I'd never seen in a meeting until the week you wanted to nominate them. And I don't believe I've seen him at a meeting since. So I don't know that that's a criteria. I don't know. I mean, that's not a criteria, right?
Well-
The idea is they complete the form and that it is given to me for my consideration.
I understand that.
I'm not saying I'm all powerful, like, I appreciate anyone who wants to serve. I just think,
Perhaps I could also bring up any work on a committee, because the other candidate that we have proposed has been active on committees and active in things in the downtown. I'm just curious that these two candidates don't seem to have shown any initiative before this or any interest in being included, because we welcome everybody on the DDA. We are thrilled to have people helping with the events and working on stuff and being part of us. That's my only question, is where'd they come from and how come?
They came from conversation, and perhaps they don't feel that same thing, right? That's what we're trying to change, is they may just not feel that thing. And I don't want to speak for anyone. I can't speak for anyone. I can speak for the reason I nominated these two individuals. They have sound businesses. They seem ready to go.
Well,
They're
that was my
interested
question.
in
And
doing it. Let's give them the opportunity to do it. I mean, I don't think sitting in a meeting is any more important than
I
not
do think
having sat in a meeting.
Well, that's fine. And I'm sure you explained to them how the DDA works and what our goals are and all the other things, which is what the director and I try to do with every new candidate, just even as they're interested in becoming a candidate, so we can explain to them why they want to be on the board, you know, what we expect from them. And of course, we never had that chance. But that was my only
But
question
that's
is,
not part of the process, right?
Where-
It's not intentionally, you're making it seem like we averted part of the process. We did not. avert
oh, I'm
any of
not
the process.
suggesting that
This
you
is the
averted part of the
process.
process. I'm just suggesting that perhaps that should have been part of the process, or it might have been. Anyway,
Okay.
that's all I have to say. Is I'm surprised that they came out of a clear blue sky.
They didn't come out of the clear blue sky. It's been a conversation. As a matter of fact, one of the gentlemen was on the agenda almost 2 years ago. And because we were suffering what we suffered nearly 2 years ago, I wanted to avert the opportunity to make someone look. I wanted to take it off the agenda because I didn't want what I knew was going to transpire on the agenda, because I respect the people a little bit more than that. So these gentlemen are willing and able and interested and understand fully what the DDA is, at least from their perspective as a business owner, as a part of the DDA. And that's a good thing. And they want to be engaged, which is why they have applied. And that also is a good thing, because that broadens the DDA. It gives you.
We
two
have
more
no problem. I'm
members,
not
two
suggesting that we don't
people
want to
who
broaden the,
serve.
we're not suggesting we don't want to broaden the DDA or increase the membership. I'm just, I've said everything I have to say, and there's really no point in arguing with you
I'm
about
not
this
arguing. I'm
here.
just trying to make
Well-
sure that you understand our side, my
think I
side,
do.
and I understand yours 100%. I do.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comment on this from the public while we're still doing this?
Well, I do not know Mr. Joe Goodaf personally. My earlier mispronunciation of his name proves that. However, I've spoken to people who do, and every one of them speaks favor.
And just for the record, I've talked with him several times, so. Didn't have to interview him for this one.
So one of my concerns is that I did canvass a few of the businesses downtown, and unfortunately, they did not have the same positive feedback. The other thing I'm concerned about is that if any of these appointees have any outstanding code violations, whether or not that should preclude them, at least not necessarily in by way of actually being in a codified, but just on principle.
Have you looked at any other, you've been around here for a long time, and I find it almost offensive that you would say that, knowing the history of certain businesses in town and status of them probably still to date. To say that did you look at anyone else's record? Have you noticed anyone else who is perhaps out of compliance on patio furniture or I mean, there's hundreds of different things, and we've heard them repeatedly. We've heard about them repeatedly, and to call out someone potentially for having some sort of a violation and not to look at everyone for some sort of a violation, which generally if someone has one, they rectify them. And generally if someone has one, there's a reason for it. And generally the city works with our businesses to get them to the appropriate place. So to call out that someone intentionally has something that would be a detriment to having them serve is not fair. And it's not fair. But now you may speak.
Thank you. Those people that you're implying aren't applying for this. They're not applicants.
Okay.
That's who's in front of us now. So let's talk about these applicants.
We're talking about them.
So again, one of my other concerns is regarding the timing. That we're now expanding this. That may be fine, but we've not had any discussions regarding that. And the fact that we have to do that by approving these applicants or appointees, I think the timing is not appropriate. The other side of that is that in looking at the date on one of the applicants that this is official public record as of on the agenda packet was issued on Thursday, October 12th. One of the applicants has his application signed on and dated October 11th. So I'm curious why there wasn't someone else that has that wants to be part of this conversation, that has been looking to participate with the DDA, why they were not considered.
Several people were considered at this particular point in time. These are the people that I selected underneath the authority that I have as the mayor to make the nominations. I made my nominations under my authority. You have authority to vote them up or down. So that's my answer to that question.
So the fact that they signed and applied on October 11th and the schedule came out for the agenda on the 12th, that doesn't have any bearing whatsoever. Just coincidence.
It's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence at all. Those are conversations that have been had for an extremely long time. And it just came down to that.
So why wasn't he an applicant before?
What does it matter?
Well, the fact is that if he's really wanted to showcase his intent on being the DDA, that should have been something that happened before.
There were no openings.
There are no openings. So now because you're expanding it, now there's an opening, but there wasn't for when we had Mr. Marucci appointed.
Mr. Marucci was appointed because he is the person that I wanted to appoint. I think your problem was not with these gentlemen, your problem was with me, and that's fine. If you have any hard issues you'd like to discuss about these gentlemen, let's do it regarding their application. If it's a personal issue with me, let's talk about it outside of here.
I'm talking about the applicants.
Okay,
Okay, so the fact that we also have, besides the one who applied on the 11th, the other applicant who potentially has some code violations. So, and also the fact that I've also had some conversations with businesses in town that have not given me a positive response.
okay, what code violations, Nick, do we have code violations we have to be concerned about?
So for the history of Clausen Jewelers, which is the business that Joe Goodfellows owns, in BSNA, there's 13 total violations since they've been in business since 2016. 4 of them came in the first year that they were open. And then the other business, Detroit Burger Bar, has 6 since they've been open.
Have they been fixed?
So all of them have been closed. There's some signage that we're looking at Clausen Jewelers that we're trying to figure out the total allowance there. In downtown, if you have less than 50-foot linear frontage along one of the main roads, you can have up to 24 square feet. They look like that they could be a little bit above that, but we're trying to figure out the dimensions on some.
And some of the signs are on the inside that you guys are fighting over, right? It's not all exterior signs. He has a neon or something on the inside. I've talked about this. This is probably our first conversation a long time ago. So are those flagrant violations that you're concerned with?
I'm concerned with the number of them. Absolutely. I don't know why anybody else wouldn't be.
Yes, sir.
So I did have that as one of my criteria, just, a good business citizen. So again, I'm new. Is that the norm to have 10 plus violations as a business? I mean, if we look at it, because again, I'm trying to, what's the average mean of violations? Do all businesses have violations? I mean, you're going to get nicks and cuts through your business journey, I'm sure, with city ordinance.
I mean, it
If I
fluctuates.
may, Councilmember Tillman, because we're going in an area right now that may be slightly problematic, where we're asking a member of the city's administration to opine on what is an appropriate amount of violations versus an inappropriate, where there is no such criteria. May I gently recommend to council stick to this?
I retract that question, but that's what I was looking at too. Because, you know, the same way, I think with Glenn talking, you know, there's a lot of information. I'm not sure if it's always factual, right? So that's what was my thirst for that question. So, okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So on the point of infractions, Mr. Gaddafi has come to the city and basically has demanded to speak with me specifically about previous inequities as far as enforcement. And so, in fact, the last time he came to the office, he met with myself, chief, and with Nick, and he had basically produced a comparative dossier of basically inequitable enforcement. And so he brought these things to our attention. We're taking corrective action and looking to build a better rapport with him and his business.
And the majority of those violations were sign related and a lot of the same thing. Is that not correct?
For the most part, yes.
Yes. So it's not like flagrantly disobeying the rules that we have in force for the community. So, and that I've seen that dossier and it would be, you would all enjoy it and be a little bit shocked by who's involved in it. I'm saying that, yes, sir.
Again, just I'm looking to get perspective. I don't think Mr. Sampson's spoken yet, and you know I value his opinion because he is part of the downtown development area, right, with two businesses. His thoughts.
My thoughts are, let's call the vote. I already interviewed him, so and I pretty much know where he's dug in at. So yeah, I do agree. We have to treat everybody exactly the same. So, but that would be another subject other than what we're talking about here.
Anyone else? Ready for a roll call?
Sorry, Councilmember Tinlin.
Does this always seem to come up randomly for me?
Awkward no matter.
You know, I'm allowed to say something too or no?
No, yes or no?
All right, yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor Milan,
Yes,
Councilmember Sampson.
No.
Councilmember Shepherd.
No.
Passes.
thank you, gentlemen. You made a wise decision and welcome Mr. Gaddafi to the DDA. The next item on our agenda will be consideration of appointment of Martin Jun to the Downtown Development Authority, term to expire October 31st, 2027.
Do we need a motion?
We do need a motion.
Hang on. I move the appointment of Martin Jun to the Downtown Development Authority business to expire the October 31st, 2027 be approved.
Support.
Okay, discussion. Councilmember Sampson? Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Anderson?
No.
Councilmember Tinlin?
Yes, okay, well, because I had a lengthy discussion with Marty, very passionate individual. And based on the last discussion too, I asked him the same questions, right? The challenges of the board, his business background, his willingness to serve. And he had a good conversation. I liked his viewpoints. He definitely comes across as an ethical individual, a smart business guy, and he wants to serve. And I believe he's actually planning to be in the DDA and proposing a fundraiser tomorrow. So again, I feel good about his willingness to try to contribute and give back to the community, because that's all I care about is the DDA is working well, having additional resources, different ideas will drive this success even farther. So that's my comments on that.
Thanks, Councilmember Shepherd.
No additional comments.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Milan,
Yes.
Councilmember Sampson,
No.
Councilmember Shepherd. No. Councilmember Tinlin,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Anderson.
Yes.
It's 3-2 passes.
And welcome Martin Jun to the Clausen DDA. Thank you. We'll move on to the next item, which is a consideration of establishing a public hearing to solicit comments on the 2024 program year community development block grant funds.
Need a motion.
Madam Mayor, I move to establish a public hearing to solicit public comments on the 2024 program year community development block grant application for November 8th, 2023.
Support.
Okay, history? Anybody? Shall I just open the public hearing?
Yeah, I can share some background on.
Thank you.
So the Community Development Block Grant is a grant funded through the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development HUD to keep communities sound, attractive, and economically viable. Oakland County provides federal community development block grant funding to communities for revitalization projects. The program strengthens neighborhoods by supporting local revitalization, home improvement, and public services for senior citizens, low-income persons and families, disadvantaged youth, and disabled residents throughout most of Oakland County. As part of the application process through the county and federal government, we are required to hold a public hearing regarding our application. The application to the county is due on December 1st. It is recommended to set the public hearing for November 8th and will occur during the regular city council meeting on that date. We're still exploring some potential projects for program year 2024, and we'll have a proposed project for your consideration during the next meeting.
Great, thank you. So I'd like to open the public hearing.
This is a set public hearing.
Oh, sorry, the second hearing. You're right. I just wanted to do that because, I remembered. So, right, we're second hearing. So we made the motion and you have comments or concerns? Then roll call.
We have the date,
November 8th.
November 8th.
November 8th. Okay. Just want to make sure.
Was in the motion, I believe. Yep.
Thank you. Okay, just making sure that was the same date. Councilmember Sampson,
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd,
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor Milan.
Yes, thank you. So the public hearing will be on November 8th regarding our upcoming block grant issues. And we will move on to item 9D, which is consideration of adopting a resolution authorizing the issuance of 2024 unlimited tax general obligation refunding bonds to refinance the city's 2014 unlimited tax general obligation refunding bonds and refinancing a portion of the city's 2010 unlimited tax general obligation improvement bonds in an amount not to exceed $6 million.
Madam Mayor, I move to the resolution authorizing the issuance of 2024 unlimited tax obligation refunding bond to refinance the city's 2014 unlimited tax general obligation refunding bonds and refinancing a portion of the city's 2010 unlimited tax general obligation improvement bonds in an amount not to exceed $6 million be approved.
Support.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Pat McGowan Miller Canfield has provided some detailed information on the refunding of the city's 2014 unlimited tax general obligation refunding bonds and refinancing a portion of the city's 2010 unlimited tax general obligation improvement bonds in an amount not to exceed $6 million. This indirectly meets the council's goal of number 4, provide efficient and resilient government by reducing the debt costs, which helps to maintain reserves and maintains the city's bond rating. During our last bond rating, we were at a AA- stable, which is an excellent bond rating. Mr. McGowan is here this evening for any questions.
Welcome, Mr. McGowan.
Thank you. Good evening. For those who don't know me, I'm Pat McGowan. I'm an attorney that works with the city on its bond and finance matters. So I've worked on a lot of your bond finance projects over the last 10 years. This is really an opportunity to save money through a refinancing. The process is not that different from refinancing your mortgage. The idea is that the city issued bonds in 2014. At the time, it was the park project and another refinancing. And the interest rates today are lower than what they were in 2014. Now, the one thing that's different about refinancing your mortgage is that usually when you issue bonds, you can't pay them off early for the first 10 years. So we're getting up to the point where the first opportunity to pay off these bonds and refinance them is coming up next spring in May of 2014. So when we get close to one of those first opportunities, the financial advisors, underwriters, finance team look at opportunities for savings. And this was a transaction that showed that a savings could be had through a bond refinancing in early 2024 to pay off those bonds in May of 24. There's some tax rules that went into effect that don't allow you to do it on a tax exempt basis more than 90 days before that first call date. So when this was first looked at in July, the savings were significantly larger than they are right now. And I know there's some materials in the memo. Interest rates have gone up since then. And I think certainly if you listen in the news, you know that rates are higher than they were a year ago, higher than a year before that. Even with that, there is still some opportunity for savings with this refinancing. So the way this works is that the city would issue a new series of bonds that would be used to pay off those bonds on that first call date. The money's put into an escrow in treasury securities, and then the bonds are redeemed, and then you would have the new interest rates and debt schedule going forward. So it's structured so that it's got the same maturity, and it can only be done if you achieve savings after paying all the issuance costs. So all the costs of issuance are included and would be paid from this. The government finance officer's recommendation is that you should hope to achieve at least 2% savings when you do one of these refundings. The city's financial advisor, which is PFM Financial Advisors, has recommended it having at least a 2.5% savings before proceeding. So the city would not be able to proceed unless you saved at least 2.5%. In July, the savings was 5%. Right now, it's somewhere between 2 and 2.25. So as of right now, if the market stayed the same, we wouldn't be able to move forward with this transaction. But the reason we're looking to have you approve it now is that if interest rates improve after the first of the year, we would be able to move quickly and take advantage of that in order to achieve savings. So the resolution before you would authorize the issuance of the refunding bonds in an amount not to exceed $6 million. It delegates to the city manager and finance director the authority to proceed to move forward as long as you achieve at least 2.5% savings. So the structure of the bonds is set forth in the resolution. The underwriter that initially proposed this is Stiefel, Nicholas and Company. They've worked with the city on some of your past financings, and it was the financial advisor's recommendation to pursue a refinancing with them if the market is such that you could achieve at least 2.5% savings. So ideally, we would look to sell bonds sometime after January with the closing sometime before April 1st. So that would be the time frame, assuming that the market conditions allow you to achieve the savings. And if they don't, we sit and wait. There's no cost to the city until you actually get to the point where you sell bonds. So this is really designed to get you teed up and ready to go so that you can move quickly if the market improves and there's savings that are available.
Questions?
Yeah, I am curious. Lately, we've had rather high inflation, which has driven high interest rates at your typical bank. How is it that bond rates have not risen in a comparable manner?
They have risen. And if bond rates do often move in a similar manner to other interest rates. When the Fed announces a rate increase, that doesn't necessarily impact exactly basis point for basis point on bond rates. It's actually kind of a weird market right now that shorter term rates are higher and then the yield curve goes down and goes flatter. So right now we're seeing interest rates that are certainly higher than they've been in the last couple of years, but they're lower than what the interest rates were in 2014 when the city issued these bonds, or at least certainly the last 10 years of it. So yes, rates are higher, but they're lower than what the interest rates are on these bonds, which were issued back in 2014.
So you're suggesting, or I'm just asking then, you're saying bond interest rates tend to lag motion in the general interest rates. They're going up, but they've been going up at a slower rate.
I wouldn't say that they lag. I would say that it's not, mortgage rates track things like US Treasuries, and bond rates also track that, but it's not exactly equal. So we've seen, I think, mortgage interest rates increase at a substantially higher rate than bond interest rates have, for example. They're different markets. They've certainly gone up. But again, the issue is how does this compare to the rates on the existing bonds? And I would say that in doing these types of refinancings, nobody's trying to guess what direction they're going. Are they going to go up more? Are they going to go down? The idea is with these refinancings is if you can get in the market and achieve a certain level of savings that you desire, you move forward. And if you don't achieve the level of savings, then you don't. Because, trying to guess where interest rates are going to go. I know sometimes people say, well, I think that, after the spring, things will go down again. Okay, maybe. And then that could be a decision, but generally the idea is to try to, take advantage of the savings when you can. Right now we're not quite in the money to do this refinancing, but it's close.
Okay, so at this point, you're looking for a 2.5% improvement to actually make the move. But you're saying you're floating between 2 and 2.25 at the present time. So you actually need some kind of an improvement to justify the move. Is that correct?
Interest rates need to go down a little bit in order to hit that desired threshold. Yes.
Okay, so we're simply authorizing the move if the move is the right thing to do.
You're authorizing moving forward with the refinancing if that desired level of savings is achieved. Yes.
2.5%.
At least a 2.5% savings. Yes. And that's a comparison of debt service to debt service. So.
Sure.
So if it's the choice of 2.5 or 2% or 1.5 or 1%, if there's a savings, why wouldn't we pursue it at that point in time, even if there's a, lower percentage?
Yeah, that's a fair question. And that's really kind of a policy matter. That is your decision as the city council. I think that the financial advisor, 2 to 4% is sort of a guideline that the Government Finance Officers Association, which is a national group, kind of recommends as a policy guideline. Why wouldn't you do it at 1%? It's a lot of work and effort to go through for what might be $10,000 a year, that you might decide, we want to wait for a little higher level of savings because, any level of savings is good, but there's a point at which the amount of work involved in doing it really doesn't justify that. So
if you do it 1% and then interest rates are a point where you could save 4% on top of that, then you're chasing your tail at that point.
Right.
Okay. And you're running out of time in which to regain those savings.
Yeah. And it's not that there's a time limit, but I know sometimes people say, well, we think rates will go down in a year, but you're still going to be paying higher interest on the existing bonds during that time frame, waiting for that decline down the road. So again, that's why generally, and again, I'm not the financial advisor. Mark could speak to this as well, but that's why 2.5% was chosen. It's kind of a level of savings that is within the GFOA guidelines that would allow the city to achieve something that's substantial, and justify the amount of work and effort involved in moving ahead with this financing.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you very much. Roll call.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Anderson.
Yes.
Mayor Milan.
Yes,
Councilmember Sampson.
Yes.
thank you. We have just agreed to adopt a resolution authorizing the issuance of 2024 unlimited tax general obligation refunding bonds to refinance the city's 2014 unlimited tax general obligation refunding bonds should the right criteria appear. Right. Moving on to the next item, which is consideration of approving the final agreement for July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2028 with the AFSCME, AFL-CIO and Local 574 Chapter B employees.
So moved.
Support.
Mr. Raker?
Yes, Madam Mayor and Council, items D, E, and F are all related, and I have a union contract summary that I'll read for all of them. We have attached a summary of the 3 union contracts and what we have agreed to with each of the 3 union stewards and their representatives. The items that add cost to the annual budget for 2023 through 2028 are included. A budget amendment will be forthcoming as the 2023-2024 budget approved by council only took into account a 2.5% pay raise for union employees. We had success in working with all 3 unions by being honest about our available funding for items that involve increases in costs to the city and demonstrating our sincere interest in doing the best that we can for direct enhancements and pay and benefits. We believe this works towards meeting the council goal of 2023-2024, goal 3, cultivate organizational excellence. Objective 8, provide competitive compensation packages to key staff members. The mutually beneficial requests that were bargained are summarized in the attached summaries. We're asking you to approve the agreed upon changes and authorize Mayor Paul Milan and myself to sign the contracts on behalf of the city. So specifically for AFSCME, and your contract years 23, 24, 25, it's a 3% base pay increase. In 26 and 27, it's a 2.5. That is applicable. That's going to be the same for all three unions. We have developed a one-time inflation stipend that will be paid on the regular payday following approval of the contract based on this rationale. Using the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics data tools located at the provided website, we developed the inflation average for April 2020 to present. April 2020 is when the effects of COVID arrived in the Detroit metro area. That monthly average is 4.8. The city and the union agreed to a 2% base pay inflation stipend to be paid to each member of AFSCME. With the city council's approval, this will be paid out of the ARPA funds for a one-time total cost for AFSCME of, and this is a correction to your memo, I neglected to include clerical in with AFSCME DPW. It's actually $18,729.30. And I provided the attached by redacted the names, but based on their pay increases and stipends for each one. That is the context of the AFSCME contract changes. I do anticipate that there probably will be an amendment to their contract that I'll be coming back to you probably second meeting in November. So because there are some, they had settled first with me. And so the other two unions were able to negotiate an enhanced HSA contribution, which I would also give to AFSCME, but it didn't make it into this because just being forthcoming with what we had agreed upon, I'm sharing with you now and I'll bring back the details later.
So no renegotiating, you just said you give it to them.
Well, true, but I'm to get the ball rolling so that I can get these people paid. This is something, and AFSCME was forward leaning and very cooperative. So they were helpful in getting the die cast for what the contracts are going to look like.
Okay. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Tinlin,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor Milan,
Yes.
Councilmember Sampson,
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Thank you. We have approved the AFSCME AFL-CIO Local 574 Chapter B Employee Union moving forward, and we'll be looking for an amendment to come. We'll move on to the next item, which is consideration of approving the final agreement for July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2028 with the Police Officers Labor Council and the Clawson Command Officers Association.
So moved.
Support.
Thank you.
So all that I shared with you before is applicable on this contract as well. We agreed, in addition to that, we agreed to adopt the federal holiday schedule for a total of 11 holidays. It's one more than what they had. We agreed to increase the employer contribution to $200 per month for the employee's VIVA/Section 125 account or other health savings account. We agreed to a shift differential for all hours worked during the night shift to receive $1.25 shift premium. We provided some context as far as the use of personal leave dates. We made significant changes that were agreed upon to reimburse accredited. This is actually pretty significant here. So if I can, I'll read all of this. This is 0.8. Significant changes were agreed upon where the city will reimburse all accredited degree coursework for tuition reimbursement only. Also, changes to educational benefits were agreed with the following. When an employee successfully completes a syllabus in a course of study and is awarded a bachelor's degree or master's degree in any of the following: in police administration, criminal justice, public administration, law enforcement, psychology, sociology, emergency management, finance, urban planning, civil engineering, environmental science, environmental engineering, library science, economics, computer science, recreation management, human resources, or museum studies at an accredited school, the city will provide said employee with an educational benefits that's set forth in the schedule below, which is for a bachelor's degree, $500, a master's degree, $1,000. And if you decide to major in finance, $1,000, an additional $1,000. And I'm happy to say that there is an interest in-house for people to pursue that because we have a it's hard to recruit people into public service. And I think that this is being well received as far as from the uniform services, that there's a concern for their well-being and employment and development beyond their years as a police officer. So I'm happy to say that we do have one candidate that is looking very closely at the finance major.
Nice.
And then we also included the funeral leave policy is much more inclusive of the family dynamics of today.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor Milan,
Yes.
Councilmember Sampson,
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd,
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin.
Yes.
Thank you. We've just approved our police officers labor council union and command officers union negotiation moving forward. And move on to item G, which is consideration of approving the final agreement for July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2028 with the police officers labor council and the Clawson Police Patrol Officers Association.
Support. Support, still support.
So everything that was previously mentioned is repeated. Additional language in regards to the promotion for sergeant now reads 5 years of service as a full-time sworn officer and off their 1-year probation at time of testing. That allows us to recruit and attract more seasoned officers so that they can take their experience and apply it more rapidly to a rank that's commensurate with their experience.
Does that mean 6 years?
Pardon me?
Say that again. Does that mean 6 years?
No, it means 5 years. So 5 years of total as a sworn officer with we have to be off your probation, which is 1 year. And then we also negotiated the following language for some discretion for the chief and for recruiting. So language providing discretion for the hiring of experienced officers now reads as follows. The city shall have the right at its discretion to grant a new hire an additional increase in salary not to exceed the base pay of a patrol officer with 48 months experience to include 2 weeks of vacation on day 1. So this is something that the staff was very active in trying to ensure that we have a full police force. We're down 1 officer right now, and they shared with me that that's something that the market is bearing for other police agencies. And then the last recruiting incentive language was developed and agreed upon to read as follows. The city shall have the right to develop recruitment incentives to include academy tuition reimbursement and academy tuition sponsorship leading to employment with the City of Clawson Police Department. There shall be no reimbursement if the City of Clawson or another entity paid for the academy fees. The city also has discretion to provide a signing bonus not to exceed $5,000, with 1/2 to be paid at the first regular payday of employment and the remainder to be split and paid in halves at the anniversary year of the member for the following 2 years. No member shall receive both a reimbursement and signing bonus. And that summarizes the changes.
Okay. Any questions? No. Roll call, please.
Mayor Milan,
Yes.
Councilmember Sampson,
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd,
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Anderson.
Yes.
Great. We have now approved the Police Officer Labor Council and Clawson Police Patrol Officers Association labor contracts moving forward. Mr. Raker and team, thank you for getting those taken care of. Probably happy to have that off your hat moving forward, right? It's kind of a big thing, especially all 3 at once.
I'm trying to get everyone paid now.
Good. Next up is item number 10, old unfinished business. Do we have any old unfinished business? No, then we should move on to public comments for items not on the agenda. If you'd like to speak to items not on the agenda, please come to the podium. We'll give you 3 minutes and we'd ask that you give your name and your address.
Hi, William Renshaw, 60 Florence. I'd like to know what you guys are going to do about the corruption in the city. We have a corrupt city attorney and we have a corrupt city manager. He takes people to court for wind chimes. They don't follow up on he covers up his stuff on code enforcements, destruction of property, over $100. This has been going on for a year. I sent you an email last year and I sent you an email this morning. So what are we going to do about this corruption? And nobody's looked into it. Look into all his case files. He took me to court for wind chimes. Wind chimes, he wasted money on wind chimes for you people instead of having them take down boards that are against code violations. I used to be your city chef and I used to be your city caterer for all your city employee meetings or city banquets. So I've been in the city a long time. Is there anything we can do about these two corrupt people? And then let's start working our way down to get rid of the rest of the corruption.
Mr. Renshaw, how about we start with looking at the concerns that you have that you sent to all of us again today or yesterday. And I'm certain that the city manager and Nick will help you figure out what needs to be done to ensure that whatever can be done with the concerns you have, those items are met. Can we start there?
We can start there, except when they send the code enforcement over, they write me up instead of writing up what they're supposed to be writing up. So I'd like somebody to follow him other than him. Like maybe one of you guys can look into what he's doing as we're talking, because I don't trust him. He's corrupt.
You trust Nick? Nick will do it.
Nick, I do trust. I've known Nick for a little while now. We've crossed paths. So yes, I will accept Nick.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Give us the opportunity to try and rectify this situation wherever we can.
Certainly will, now that it's on file.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak this evening? Sorry about that. Take your time. We're good.
Hello, Char Larson, 2164 Brinston in Troy. I'm the president of the Clawson Chamber of Commerce. Unfortunately, I have to report that we were to have an event on Friday at Shields, a euchre party, and we had to guarantee so many people. And we're not in the position, if we don't have that many people, to just throw it away. We were at half our attendance. So we did have to cancel it, unfortunately, but we do have something coming up in a few weeks, and it would be the day after our meeting or your meeting next month. And it is November the 9th. It's at S4, which is just down the street next to Twyfit. You probably all know Twyfit. It's from 6 to 9. It's called Whiskey and Wine. There will be 2 of us there that will drive anybody home or make sure they get a ride if they overindulge. It's $65 if you come later, or if you register later than October 27th, that will be $75. It will be catered by Whiskey Taco Foxtrot. We're excited to have this event. There will be a couple people that will not be drinking, and we'll do everything to make it a fun time. I understand the food is going to be phenomenal. So I hope you will join us or encourage others to join us. We're doing everything we can to raise money. Charity poker. I've done it for 15 years. This Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday from 4 to 7 in the morning, 4 times a year is getting too much for this old lady. So we need to find other resources. And soon after, we'll be selling cards, 52 cards for a big cooler of liquor and trying to make some money for that. So you'll be seeing more of that, trying to develop other things that we can raise money. So I hope you will support that. And I apologize to everybody that we had to cancel this euchre, but I cannot go in and spend money for 40 some people plus, and we don't have as many as we need. So we just felt that was the best interest of the chamber. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to speak?
Horton for the DDA. Just wanted to remind people that Saturday, October 28th is Trick or Treasure downtown. That's from noon until 2 o'clock. It is an allergy-friendly event. Participants, the businesses that participate, or any of you candidates that want to run, or other businesses outside the DDA, it is $100 for the candy from the DDA. We buy it to ensure that it is allergen friendly because we do advertise to other parents groups and allergy groups. So we're very careful with what we purchase. Also, on the later that day, the adults have the Great Pumpkin Crawl. Pre-registration is $25. It can be done on our website at downtownclawson.com. /happenings is the page. And registration at the door on the day of the event is $35. Registration is at 3 Cats. So the pub can crawl, we entails not just drink and food specials, but there are games and contests and trivia and things for participants to do throughout the downtown. So we hope to see, we usually have a very good crowd for that and for Trick or Treasure. So we hope to see some of you there. Thank you.
Thank you. Both fun events. Anyone else? Okay, we'll close public comment and move on to the city clerk's report. August.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Absentee ballots are coming in slowly. A reminder to the residents who are voting by mail, the state of Michigan picks up the postage tab, so you don't hesitate to put them in the mailbox. We are getting them back with stamps on them, so I'm trying to let people know, save your 63 cents. The state picks it up. Charter Commission's holding another public forum after their regular scheduled meeting on October 24th at 6:30. Like to let everyone know, the last day to register to vote by mail is October 23rd. After the 23rd, you must come to your local clerk's office to register in person with proof of residency. Keep in mind your driver's license and state ID are linked to your voter registration. So if you change your license, your registration follows. If you change your registration at the clerk's office, the Secretary of State will send you that cute little sticker that goes in the back of your license that changes your address. So you don't have to go to Secretary of State to change your driver's license address. You can come to your local clerk's office. Early voting begins the 28th at the Detroit Community Center. And I know those postcards I spoke about 2 weeks ago arrived because I'm getting the phone calls.
We got 4 of them
Yes,
in our house today.
The same, yeah, we were not allowed to household them. That was a specific rule. We had to do each individual voter. So the same graphics are also posted on the city's Facebook page with the same information as well. So that's all I have.
Thank you. City Attorney's report, Mr. Ushai.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity this evening to thank Barb Chambers, a longtime code enforcement officer of this city, who has worked tirelessly her entire career for the betterment of this community by enforcing the standards set by this council for all residents of the city. At great odds and sometimes facing strange accusations by those who are unable and unwilling to keep up their property, but are willing to make the strangest charges, unfounded charges against her. And I also want to take the time to thank the city manager, the assistant city manager, and the chief of police by giving her and her the other code enforcement officer, both of them, the support that they need in order to enforce the standard that this community has set for itself in order to thrive, in order to succeed. And they will continue to do the job, I have no doubt, but they'll do so as they always have by making all of us proud. And I, for one, support them. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you have anything else?
Ma'am,
Business, anything for us?
No, ma'am.
I mean, that was nice, but anything for us? No?
nothing else.
Okay, thanks. City manager's report, please, Mr. Ricker.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, City Attorney Nushai. A reminder, our next council meeting will be the 8th after the election. So that'll be on a Wednesday, just as a reminder for everyone. I want to thank the union leadership, the union membership, and staff who worked diligently to get us to a mutually beneficial contract. So thank you to everyone in that endeavor. Thank you to council for your patience as it took a little bit longer than anticipated. Pending any questions, that's my brief.
Thank you. City council comments, council member Shepherd.
I'm sorry, I did have some questions.
Sorry,
for the
I'm
city.
sorry, you may ask
city
them
manager.
questions.
All right, Mr. Rager, when you were first interviewed, one of the primary presentations you made was about the infrastructure issues in the city. And lately, there's been a lot of discussion about infrastructure issues in the city. And the general sentiment or communication or banter I'm hearing is there is no plan. Now, I agree there's no formalized plan, but I believe there was a plan laid out, and I'm just going from past discussions that were openly held in this council for many weeks and months. And I just want to run through the record, and I want you to make sure I'm saying this right.
Just if you want to let someone else speak, let me go get my notes so I can refer to them accurately, if that's okay with you.
I'm going to work in round numbers.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. So you originally said that to handle some capital improvement plans, you want to transfer $2.5 million out of the general fund. Okay. And of the $2.5 million, you need about $250,000 for the locker room issues in the police department. The other 2.25 million were to be allocated to infrastructure.
Correct.
Okay. And so in round numbers, basically, we have about 2.3 million to spend on infrastructure. And you laid out a plan. You had 3 projects laid out. You basically had the Selfridge Phillips plan, you had the Washington Broadacre plan, and you had the Redworth repaving plan.
Correct.
Okay. And we hope to achieve all those with that budget. And you proceeded to implement your plan. And as I remember, Selfridge Phillips moved pretty much right on schedule. Unfortunately, we ran into a snag, which was that the costs for the infrastructure plan were going to be a bit more expensive than we thought. The original estimate was about 2.3 million. By the time the numbers came in, it was 3.3 million, which is significantly higher. Then again, we've seen that all over the country. Not to digress into economics, but basically, when you release billions of dollars out of Washington, D.C., that's essentially running a printing press. And then those money chase after a construction industry that, if anything, has shrunk because of a lack of workers. In essence, you have more dollars chasing less suppliers, and thus it's natural that construction prices are going to go up. We've seen that all over. So 3.3 million ended up being what we needed. But the good news was, so we're basically short about $1 million. But fortunately, you managed to achieve a couple grants. You have about 400,000 from HUD and about 700,000 from the EPA. I'm rounding numbers here for public consumption. Am I generally accurate?
Oh, that's accurate.
Okay, thank you. So right now, Selfridge and Phillips is done. The plan that you laid out has been partially executed. And also, I think going forward with the Washington Broadacre and the Redworth, you now have enough money, thanks to those grants, to finish those projects. And I think you expressed some confidence that you hope to get those rolling in this upcoming construction season. Is that correct?
Spring next year, yes, sir.
Okay, in the spring. So bottom line, hopefully by the end of next year, the plan will have been completed. It's not an all comprehensive plan. You weren't able to lay out a precise timeline. And you, of course, to have a precise plan, you've got to have a precise set of resources. Because all planning is valuable, but plans are basically useless if you don't have the resources to execute them. And yet I congratulate you that you managed to find the resource to execute them. However, you've kind of mentioned that getting grants is kind of a hit and miss proposition. Am I correct?
That's accurate.
Okay. I know we tried to get $5 million for the Dreon school projects, but unfortunately we didn't get that. Is that correct?
That's accurate.
Okay. And of course, naturally, everybody's lobbying for these grants. I'm sure other cities are looking to get grants too. So we're basically in competition with them. So that said, I want to thank you for developing that plan. Perhaps our failure has not been properly communicating. It would have been nice to maybe set up something on the website, lay out a timeline, a bunch of projects. That would be nice if we had the luxury of the resources to do so. But we didn't have that. We simply had to set up a series of contingency plans, kind of go as we went. Okay. Now, in addition, you've repeatedly stated that although we like to get grants, the grants are somewhat unreliable income stream. Okay. So I'm sure you're going to continue to pursue those opportunities, but we can't necessarily bank on that. So with that, we will probably have to consider a millage to develop a reliable income stream.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Very well. I know one of our state senators, Stephanie Chang, was in one of our previous meetings. And I thought I'd contact her and get her thoughts. And her answers to me echoed your thoughts, that basically there's a 3-pronged plan: federal grants, state grants, but also an income stream from a millage.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I just want to get this out in the air because I want to clear the confusion. All this has been discussed, but I understand it hasn't been very well communicated in a formal manner, but hopefully going forward, we'll be able to do that.
That is the intent. And just for the record, sir.
Yes.
My second interview, I shared with this body that you will have to put together a special millage in order to tackle the infrastructure challenges that you have in this community.
Sure.
So
You were open from the very beginning.
yeah, I was transparent on that.
Absolutely. All right, thank you. I have no more questions.
Council comments, Councilmember Shepherd.
I just want to say thank you, Joe, for the list of trees. It was very, very helpful. Just an FYI, I canvassed the neighborhood yesterday.
I knew you would.
I got 2/3 of it, about 61 of them. So there are some questions I have on some of them that are on the list. And if again, this is a removal list, I have some questions and we can take a look at that. So I'll plan on finishing that and I'll send you a report on what I find for review and comment. But I really appreciate that. That was very helpful. So other than that, that's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Tinley.
Just simple tonight. I just want to thank Councilman Shepherd for doing that. His passion around that is very inspiring. So I do appreciate it. That's it.
Thank you. So Councilmember Sampson.
Just like to echo our great attorney's comments about Barb and that crew. I think they do a terrific job and enforcing the codes. And I know she works hard and tries to come out with the best solution for everybody. So if Barb's out there listening, she's doing a great job.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Anderson.
I think I've said enough. Thank you.
Okay, then I would just like to say, check out the website for upcoming activities. I noticed there's a chair yoga coming up, which says that anybody can do it and it will give you all kinds of energy and stuff. I don't know that I'm gonna figure that out, but I would love for someone else to try it out and let me know if it was fun. And then there's also a trick or treat trail on Sunday, this upcoming Sunday at the park. And if you would like to sponsor, if you have a business that would like to sponsor, there's still opportunities, you can get involved in that, to send a note to Clausen Youth Assistance. And other than that, I would just like to thank everyone for this meeting, and thank for everyone who came and shared their concerns. We might not always agree, but we do like public comment and we do like to hear each other out. So I hope this is always a place where we can do that and then come together at the end. So thank you, everyone, and take a call for dismissal.
Adjourn.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sampson.
Yes.
Shepherd. Yes. Finley.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Milan.
Yes.
Figured that's the way it's. Yeah. That's our. It used to be like.